Ooh. Ooh. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu ma Vishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Samasta Jana Kalyani Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahma Vidvaram. Om Partaya Pradibodhitam Bhagavata Narayanena Swayam Vyasena Gratitam Purana Munina Madhye Mahabharatam Advaitamritavarshini Bhagavatim Ashtadashadhyayinim Ambatvam Bhagavad Gita Bhavatvishini Yam Brahma Varunendra Rudra Marutah Stunvanti Divyaistavaihi Vedai Sangapadakramopanisadaihi Gayanti Yam Samagaha Dhyanavastita Tadgyatena Manasa Pashyanti Yam Yogino Yasyantam na Vidusura Suragana Devaya Tasmai Namaha Devaya Tasmai Namaha. Ata Ashtadashodhyayaha Arjuna Uvacha Sannyasasya Mahabaho Tattvamiccami Veditum Tyagasya Charishikesha Pridakkeshi Nishudana Sri Bhagavan Uvacha Kamyanam Karmanam Nyasam Sannyasam Kavayo Viduhu Sarva Karma Palatyaham Prahustyatum Vichakshana. This topic of sannyasa and tyaga, etc., may look irrelevant to most of you. Would say, we are still in grihastha. Why do we need to learn about all these things? Are you inducing us to go to sannyasa? Are you influencing me? Not at all. We as a living being, human being, alone can excel and reach the state of freedom and which we all seek. No one in this world, no living being does not want complete freedom and happiness. That happiness which we all seek at all times is indicated here as the Paramatma, the Om. Even though it is written as Supreme Consciousness, Om, etc., what we really seek is what that is. Who doesn't want to be happy at all times? So even though you say in a Grihastha ashrama, I do not need this as a goal, but it is not true. Even as a child, even as a teenager, even as a Grihastha, everyone is seeking the same thing, but they do not pronounce it or spell it in that way. For all of us want to be free of any entanglements which will make us unhappy. Anything that is causing us to be unhappy, don't we renounce? A nagging friend, a crying child, a bossy boss. We always feel like escaping from that person or that situation or that object or that experience. Why? We can only tolerate to some extent the negativity, unhappiness, trouble, anger, jealousy, etc. Always we look for a way out of such situation. Therefore, we try to escape from a problem. Here, Bhagavan Krishna is going to explain, escaping is not a solution. Rising above the situation is the way to go. To rise above a situation, you must look at the situation not as permanent. Any situation or any experience that comes to us which nags us, which makes us unhappy, we must have the right perception to know that this is not going to be forever. And that requires knowledge. That requires the knowledge about something more permanent. Then only we can give up or rise above what is temporary. Don't we all say that if there is a little setback in your child's education or career, etc., it's okay, get going. It is only temporary. We always do feel more comfortable when we hold on to something more permanent, thereby we can give up something which is temporary. And that is what is called Tyaga. So Bhagavan Krishna here, when he was asked this question by Arjuna, Sannyasasya mahabaho tattvam ichchami veditum tyagasya cha rishikesha. Pratak keshinu shodham. Show me the difference clearly. So for which Bhagavan Krishna had answered that kamyanam karmanam nyasam sannyasa. Where an individual has grown up to an extent that he can completely give up all activities that are prompted by desires. Desires being originated from predetermined, pre-decided sources of joy, or otherwise known as latent impressions in our mind or in our personality, which are very strongly rooted, which creates the thoughts in our mind as desires. These are all things that can make me happy. So we are driven continuously by those strong impressions created by the past. To give up those desires and not to act on them requires greater maturity, because we have not been used to that. When a desire arises in our mind, we don't even question, do I need it or not? If it is possible, if I can afford it, go for it. Only you don't go for it if you cannot afford it. Or you have a limitation in yourself, like a 15th Rasagulla, because you cannot have it anymore. But 2 days later, you again go for it. Why? Because that is already digested again. The desire is still there. That the vasana for that particular sweet is still there, being there. 3 days later, when again the same situation arises, again you go for it. So that is a temporary giving up because there is a pain, there is a limitation. As again, if something you want to buy, iPhone 15, I cannot afford it today. Let the first salary next month come, then you go for it. Your giving up is temporary. So therefore, Bhagavan Krishna says that to overcome all the desire and activities prompted by them is the state of total joy, where nothing is nagging you, nothing is allowed to nag. Not that they don't nag, you don't allow it. Don't allow means you don't run away, it doesn't matter. I'm above this, I cannot be disturbed by this. I know this is only a temporary thing, but I am able to hold on to something higher. Thereby, I look at it as insignificant. To get to that maturity, we must start practicing what can be done by us at this moment. What can be done? That is why he says, Sarva karma phala tyagam prahustyagam vichakshanaha. Men of wisdom, they come to say, vichakshanaha prahuhu, they say, tyagam. What is that? Is called, as Gurudev said, abandonment. Giving up is palatyagam, which he has elaborated in 3rd and 4th and 5th chapters anyway. Sarva karma palatyagam. Not only those actions which are prompted by your desires, any action that you perform, there should be no anxiety about the result. Result will come. Not that action will not go without the result. But you will be able to handle it with a mind steady and not hankering upon it, attached to it. And this need to be practiced at the level where a grihastha is. Otherwise, our mind will be consciously anxious, and many people have anxious attacks, depression, disturbances caused by your mind because it is continuously demanding something or the other from the world. Too many expectations. And when the expectations are not met, there's a disappointment. When the disappointment is, there is certain amount of anger, frustration, self-condemnation, suicidal tendencies, dejection. Not only in the even in the youngsters, it happens. So many people are, subject to this. That's why psychiatrists are very busy. If everybody is learning Gita and follow that, psychiatrists have to close their shops and go. So therefore, I have put certain ideas there for you. Sannyasa, next. Sannyasa is actions that are for gaining material, giving up actions that are prompted by desire, like gaining material possessions, gaining name and fame, or obtaining pleasures hereafter in the heaven, etc. These are all considered as kamya karma, desire prompted actions. To give up that is not that easy. Whereas tyaga is doing the action, but not holding on to the results. Results of action, which are even prescribed by the scriptures, even those who are to be performed for the sake of the society in which you live, even that are related to worship of God. In other words, in sannyasa, you give up action. In tyaga, you give up result. To give up action, prior to that, to give up action, you must give up the result. If the anxiety for result is there, you cannot give up action. Because what prompts us to act is the desire for the result, is it not? Nobody works in this world without thinking about the result or desiring the result. Everything that we do, we look at or we start asking the question, why am I doing this? What do I get out of it? If there is no even a trace of a personal benefit out of it, will you do it? Will you? Even if there is a trace of benefit is not there, you will do it? No, you won't do it. So, therefore, renunciation is giving up all actions means what? The idea that I am a bhokta, the idea that I am going to be the enjoyer of the result must be questioned, must be given up. Before that, before giving up action, the interesting thing is, result comes after the action, right? But action can be done only when you think about the result. Result, you think. Act, you do. Result comes later. So what happens is, from the time you started to desire the result, until the time you get in actually the result, the anxiety continues. In between the action you do, within the state of anxiety, I want this, that prompts you to act. The preconceived or the impressions that are there, which is prompting you, which is giving you desires, which makes the individual body to act. The body acts according to the desire of the mind. So the desire arises first. It prompts the action. Until the result comes, there is anxiety continuing there. So anxiety is not while receiving the result. Anxiety starts from the time you start thinking about the action. And that's the reason why, while acting, we are still anxious. And when you are anxious, you cannot do the best. So what Krishna had given in 3rd chapter, etc., unless you give up the anxiety for the result, you will not act efficiently. What was Krishna's situation? Will we win or they will win? Will I not be condemned as the killer of our own race? I'm anxious. Should I do or not? He's not even started. Bhagavan Krishna will talk about that. What happens to people who are anxious even before the action? So, the easy way to come out of that is think about the result, but do not ever think you alone would decide the result. The result is not necessarily decided by the action that you do. Action is an agent, not a decision maker. Because so many factors influence your result. Now I'm talking to you all. What is the result that I'm thinking about at the end of this talk? That you all understand at least the 2-3 verses of Bhagavad Gita. If with that aim only I am talking here, but will it happen? Will it happen or not? It all depends on you, right? If you are listening carefully, that it will happen. But I cannot decide that. I can only hope and work to the best. What will happen is not decided by me. Cannot be. And that's why at the end of the talk, I won't ask you, what did you learn in this 1 hour? Actually, Swamiji, my mind was somewhere else. I didn't listen what you were saying. Most of us, therefore, when you are anxious about the result and engage in action, and the result does not come the way you want, we get very dejected. So what is to be done? Do your best. Don't think that you decide the result. Your own children, you are making sure that they come to Bal Vihar, get educated properly at the school, and you give them all the correct values, etc. But what is your hope? That that fellow will be a mature individual, knows what he is doing, but he turns out to be the other way. Your own children. grown under your own nose only. But yet you cannot decide because there is an individual. His karma, his past, or his very, what he has in his mind, what is there deeply in his impressions, that will guide him, that will make him go here and there. You cannot decide that. So too, any action that we perform, only a part of it is your role. A larger portion of it is unpredictable. That's why Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi said, Kartuhu Agnyaya Prapyade Palam. Here, not only the action that I do will have a part of it, but what I did in the past also has a part in it. What I deserve is also there. Because if all of us do the same thing, all of us would not get the same result. Everybody wants to win. Only one actually wins the race. Why? He or she has put more effort, probably, or certain things are favorable to him or her, and you cannot visibly see what it is. Bhagavan again will talk about that in this later part of this chapter. So, the way to go about it is, while engaging in action, do not have your mind attached to the result. That is called tyaga. Sarva karma phala tyaga. It includes desireless action also. Voluntary action, seva that you do, even those which you perform as a worship of God, even there, may you continue to have this correct attitude of tyaga. For your own peace of mind. Who doesn't want it? While renunciation may be difficult for a grihastha to take up, because there are so many things that are necessarily to be done for him, by him or her, in the living in a society, as a family, as a part of the transactional world, even has to do it. But tyaga is for one's own peace of mind. Tyage neke amrtatvam. And also in 12th chapter, Bhagavan said, Tyagat shantihi anantara. The peace that you get is endless if you can practice phalatyaga. So tyaga is performing action without anxiety for result. This will be the perfect means to attain the state of sannyasa. Tyaga is also giving up rajasic and tamasic tendencies. We have elaborately seen in the 14th chapter also, our mind is consisting of 3 different moods. That's why we are called moodaha. Rajasic mood, tamasic mood, sattvic mood. Sattvic mood is to engaging in learning, understanding, knowing. Rajasic mood is about doing, acquiring maximum from the world, proving oneself, getting name and fame, power, position. Whereas tamasic mood is where you lazy, lethargic, indulging, sensuous, sleepy. All of us go through these. Not one at a same, one remains all the time. But the more number of time, more elevated is your sattva, then less and less influence of rajas and tamas you see in yourself. And all our spiritual sadhanas or practices, or going to a temple, chanting the name of the Lord, doing the puja, all are to increase the sattva in us. And therefore, tyaga is a method of increasing sattva and reducing the rajasic and tamasic tendencies. In both tyaga and sannyasa, selfless action should not be given up. The action that are going to reduce our kama, desires, doing only for oneself and not for anybody else, Even one's own kirtan may suffer because of one's selfishness. That reduction of that is possible by engaging in activities that are not only self-centered. Therefore, now Bhagavan Krishna is going to take up what is this Tyaga elaborately. Verse number 3. Tyajyam doshavadyeke karma prahurmanishinaha yajnadana tapak karma natyajam iti chapare tyajyam doshavadyeke karma prahurmanishinaha yajnadana tapak karma natyajyam iti chapare. There are many schools of philosophies that were supported and found to be prevalent in the ancient Bharat, where they never said that you are not supposed to practice that. Everybody is allowed to practice what they believe as right. That is allowed. In a free society, the difference of opinions would be there. Doesn't mean if you differ from me, I'll kill you. That is not the way Bharatiya culture worked. Everybody is free to have their opinion and follow your path. And that is what is called freedom or democracy. If I say, one boss said, I give a lot of freedom to you, just listen to me. Is it called freedom? So there were some people who had the opinion that what is called tyaga, doshavat karma tyajyam. Doshavat karma tyajam. All actions should be given up as impure, defective. Iti manishinaha eke, some kind of people, some school of thought, manishinaha prahu. Eke manishinaha prahu. There they say all actions to be given up. Which Gurudev in his commentary elaborately writes that that is not the right way of thinking. Because in a society where everybody takes to this path, easy not to do, then what happens to the whole society? It will become welfare society from top to bottom. Nobody works. Why? There will not be any production, agriculture, industry, governance, sales or marketing. Nothing will happen. If you want to know how it is, go to Tibet. Nothing. No industry, no power, no agriculture, no production, no sales, no marketing, no society, no government. Definitely, there's nothing. So, such a society, everybody is poor, everybody is begging. There is nobody to give because nobody has anything. So, at the one hand, no doubt, what was taught by Buddha is extremely very intelligent. But when it comes to a society, it should be understood that not all of them are eligible to do that. Maturity alone leads to sannyasa, not failures, incapabilities. incapacity, incapable of doing, incapacity, laziness. So that's why when we say, when somebody takes up to the path of renunciation, many people think it's a failure. Kuch nahi hua, he could not do anything else. Chalo. Gurudev said, no. You are successful wherever you are, only when you know your maturity is what should lead to renunciation and not failures. So, tyajam doshavat eke karma prahu manishina. But then Bhagavan Krishna points out, some others would say, apare prahu, others say, natyajam, don't give up. What? Yajna, dana, tapa, karma. These three things should not be given up, even in the case of a sannyas. Yajna, sacrifice that you do, that you offer to the Lord, to gods. Danam, what you give and share to people around in this world. Tapaha is where you give up your vasanas in the fire of knowledge. In all these three, there is giving up is there, but there is action involved. Sacrifice, charity, and austerity. Yajna, dana, and tapa. This we have seen in the previous chapter also. Natyajyam, not to be given up. Iti eke prahu. Aparepa prahu. Others would say this. See, as we grow, we realize everything that I have got is from somebody. Think, what is that around you? Look at you around you, or with you also. What is that which you created? Swami created a lot of problems. That is, of course, you can do. Even this physical body is not you did it. Given to you by your loving parents. Knowledge given to you by your teachers. Everything that you see around, with that knowledge you work, that is also a product of that knowledge which is given to you by somebody. And out of my money, I will make money. That out of the karma, I'll make money. That is also, again, go back to the source. Somebody gave it to me. So what is that? I call it as me, mine. And you realize that it is all in a society where you're living, or in a family you're living. You understand you must be grateful to the one who gives to everyone. That is called yajna. Invoking the Lord who has not only given to me whatever I need, I deserve, into the everything, everybody in this world. He is the one giver. And to him we offer all our prayers. And with that attitude, when you are able to invoke the Lord with a gratitude, that is called yajna. Sacrifice. Similarly, I am surviving in this society, in this very world, in which many people are doing many things. And many of the things that I am benefiting are all indirectly coming from the people around me, which I may not, whom I do not see. Many people are working to make this whole world possible. Their work. And therefore, I am to share what I have with others. That is called dhanam. Charity is not out of feeling pity, but feeling grateful for what I've received in this world. That's why Gurudev said, consume the minimum, produce the maximum. Giving more than what you take and producing more than what you consume in our pledge. So also, so long as I am working with only my own desires, I will never improve. And at some point of time, my own desire will kill me, because physical body is incapable of satiating my senses. When you come to 60, 70, 80, even the desires are still there, but your body will not cooperate. You understand one thing, mind never gets old, only the body. Body gets old, mind never. Mind still wants things. Chakli, you dip it in the buttermilk and still eat. Why? There is no teeth. Still you can't give up eating that. Even as the physical body is weak and fatigued or old, mind. So unless I overcome that, demands of the mind, I will not be able to maintain my inner peace, because it is constantly demanding something or the other. So therefore, overcoming inside within you the demands of the mind and let it be understood as ignorance. Due to ignorance of something higher, only the mind is demanding something lower. That's why in our pledge again, we stand as, we fight as an army, courageous and disciplined, ever ready to fight against what? All low tendencies and false values within. The low tendencies, false values, that is tapas. The yajna is where you are grateful to God. Dana is you are grateful to the world around you. And austerity is where you overcome and recognize the greatness of your own higher self. And that can happen only when you give up the lower tendencies. That is austerity, tapas. Tapas is not torture of the body. So, yajna, dana, tapa, in all of them there is giving up involved. Giving up to the Lord, giving up to the society, giving up your own old tendencies. Yajna, dana, tapa, karma, natyajyam. Don't give up. Iti cha apare. Others. Again, I have put some ideas in the next slide. The process of renunciation is through the following steps. The desire to free oneself from the worldly entanglements, including the endless cycle of birth and death. This is what one basically tries to reach. Endless birth and death because of endless desires, even as you are living as a human being, when you are about to give up this physical body, there is already certain blueprint created for the next one. Next to birth, Swamiji, I want to do this. You are already preparing yourself for the next. Very often, earlier I used to do this. Swamiji, you are not taking gulab jamun nowadays? No, I gave up. Next birth I will take. Now I stopped that also. Because then I'm preparing for the next birth. In birthday also, if you don't wish happy returns, continue the day, you say that. Other happy returns means what? Another birth. Happy returns, what? The day. Okay, that's fine. Otherwise, we are hoping or we are wishing you come back again and again and again and again. So that desire to come back again into the same world and going through all those things all over again, A for apple, B for box, C for cat. Do you want to go through that again? Again, math class, algebra, calculus, over. So, desire not to go through this endless cycle of birth and death, to free oneself from that. And secondly, guidance from a spiritual teacher to know about the free self that needs to be discovered. It is not just not wanting to come back, but want to become free. And how? How do I do this? Even to a place where you have not gone, you need a guide. Locally here, you have been living in Irvine for so long. Do you know the entire map?